Welcome back, everyone. Happy Mindful Monday. And today we are actually taking a deep dive into the world of love and relationships. Yay! Um, well, I can't cover everything in just one video, but I will do my best to cover as much as possible. And if you have questions or comments, or you want more, you have specific things that you'd like for me to address in another video or maybe one-on-one, I'd be happy to answer those questions. You can just subscribe to this channel or leave your messages below. And also you'll find other ways to connect with me if you just scroll down to the information section below this video, and I'd love to hear from you. So I've actually gotten some specific requests from people this week about love, about relationships, about how to heal from breakups. And I thought, oh, should I cover this one or that one? I thought for today's video, I'm just going to cover love and relationships, and in my belief, what relationships truly are, and how that if we're not totally clear about that, it can create some suffering, it can create some misunderstanding, it can create a lingering in the heart of pain and loss that doesn't necessarily have to be there. It's not serving us. So how do we let that go? So number one, what are relationships? For me, and this is just my personal experience as a coach, my personal experience as a human being, as a woman on this planet, and as somebody who's done a lot of work, a lot of research, a lot of reading on this topic because it's one of my favorites, is when we come into communion with another person. And in this video, just speaking of intimate relationships, so whether that's boyfriend or girlfriend, whether we're just dating, whether we're married, or whether we've been together for a long time, that relationship is there because both people are playing a role for one another. And every relationship is completely different. And every person we get into a relationship with shows us something a little bit different than the person we were with before, right? Or the person we're going to be with next. Generally speaking, when we find that person that we stay with, it's usually because there's a great balance of learning. We're able to have our stuff come up in the relationship. We're able to look at it, confront it, and then communicate effectively with our partner, and then we move through it. But as many of us in relationship, or many of us, we've all been in relationships, we know that can be challenging. Learning how to communicate, learning how to work through your own stuff so that you're not projecting and blaming it on your partner, learning how not to come from fear, but to come from love in our relationships. So one thing I see a lot is if we've had some kind of trauma, it could be minor, it could be big, in our childhood, whether it was in our family life with our parents, or maybe it was a young relationship we had in our early teens, or it could be a lot of times we just come into life with certain insecurities. And there are certain things about us on a soul level that want to be healed. So we come into this existence as a human being, and there are just certain parts about us, certain things inside of us that want to be healed. And so the universe loves us, so much. It helps to conspire to co-create with us certain situations and circumstances where we actually get to confront those things deep within us that want to be healed. So if we're in a relationship and we start to have a fear about our partner cheating on us or leaving us or not loving us anymore or not feeling like we're beautiful anymore or not desiring us or wanting us anymore, what can happen is we get really focused on the external aspect of that fear, trying to micromanage, trying to manipulate what they do or don't do, trying to fit ourselves into a box to make sure we are what we think that they want, and kind of all this craziness that goes along with that. And a lot of times we don't end up getting what we want, and even if we do, it still doesn't really satisfy us in here because we're coming from fear, right? We're coming from that insecure place where we're manipulating and we're controlling. It's not coming from a flow of energy. It's not coming from a place of self-love and compassion. So in our relationships, we're put into a position with another person to become hyper aware of our insecurities, of our fears, of where we don't feel like we're enough, of where we're still carrying around shame, of where we don't know how to communicate or speak our truth, of where we're not exceptionally savvy and being able to communicate to our partners from a place of self-love and empowerment, right? So our relationships teach us about this. And if we've lost a partner or somebody that we loved and we haven't been able to get over that, and we're still in heartbreak and we're still in shame and we're holding back from the world, we're not living our lives the way that we know we could be, there's usually something that we haven't actually either been willing to look at, or we just haven't quite had the awareness about what it is that wants to be healed within us. And in order to heal, it actually requires a tremendous amount of willingness. We actually have to really want that. We have to seek that. We have to be committed to that. And beautiful relationships, at least the kinds of relationships that I look at and I admire, it's two people that come together and say, we're in it to win it. And that doesn't mean things are going to look beautiful all the time. In fact, you're going to do things that upset me, and you're going to do things that upset me, and I'm going to have days where I feel insecure, and you're going to have days where you feel insecure, and things are going to change, and situations and circumstances in life can get complicated and it can get scary sometimes. But we're committed to working through that together, right? I'll look at my stuff and you'll look at your stuff, and then we'll come together and we'll find a way to communicate the best way we possibly can in that moment about what we're needing, what we're feeling, and what we want to create together, what we want to co-create together. So for me, relationships are one of the most powerful places of self-transformation, of awakening, of enlightenment. They are one of the most powerful, I like to call them laboratories, where we get to explore and experiment and try new things, really learning about what works for us and what doesn't work for us. And I speak a lot about reaching outside of ourselves, looking to something outside of us to get what it is that we need. And one of the questions that I like to ask my clients when I'm in a coaching session and they're working through something with their partner, and myself, if I go through something like this, is when you're feeling insecure, or when you're mourning or longing or grieving the loss of somebody through a breakup and your heart is hurting, what is it exactly that you are wanting and needing from this person? And what is it exactly that you think that they can give you that you cannot seem to cultivate or find within yourself? And what is it that you are unwilling to give yourself, right? So a lot of times, and I'll give you a personal example, I went through a really rough breakup at one point, and not that long ago, actually, a couple years ago, where I was in extreme amounts of pain, and the breakup was really hard for me. And it was one of the most healing things that ever happened as well, because I was, number one, committed to healing and committed to empowerment. But I was able to look at a lot of shame that I had, and I was able to look at how I constantly abandoned myself. And an insight that I had was, how can I expect somebody else, whether it's my current partner, right, or in that situation, the person who we had broken up, how can I expect them to, or be upset with them for abandoning me when I was actually constantly abandoning myself? And self-abandonment can look in a lot of different ways. It can be our self-dialogue, our inner dialogue, how we're speaking to ourselves through something. It can be our boundaries. Do I have healthy boundaries that make sure that I have the space and the love and the compassion that I need so that I can really be me? Do I have self-love? Do I have self-respect, right? And so when I respect myself, or when you respect yourself, when you love yourself, when I love myself, when I come from that place, it's very different than when I don't have that stuff, right? And therefore, I'll do what somebody else wants above what I want. I'll trust what somebody else says over and above what my intuition or my gut says. I will give myself in ways that actually deplete me, right? And so this person, place, or thing gains power, more and more power over time. And it's not because they actually have that power, but it's because in that state of mind or in that state of consciousness, My belief is that they have the power, that my power is outside of myself. And the healing is to always wake up. Wake up and remember that the power is not outside of you. It's not outside of me. They do not have what you want. And even if they could give it to you, the relief would be very temporary. And then ultimately, again, that fear would come up, that insecurity would come up, that not enough would come up, right? It would be a constant thing. So it's just an invitation from your soul to take a look back and say, what is it within me that needs my love and my acceptance and my respect and my attention and my presence? What is it within me? And am I willing to give that to myself? Am I willing to presence myself so intensely to the discomfort, to the pain, to the confusion or the conflict within myself, right? Am I willing to just presence myself to that, right? Just presencing yourself to that in and of itself, that is an act of self-love. And when we do that, there's so much wisdom inside. As we tune into that wisdom and we presence ourselves to that feeling, the intelligence of that feeling will begin to reveal itself to us. So today is, how do you really utilize the power of your relationship to grow, to become more aware, to learn about self-love, to learn about self-respect? What is it in your relationship that you feel so triggered by, right? What are the insecurities that come up for you? What are the fears that come up for you? What are the things that you get so frustrated and really blaming your partner for all the time? What are the ways in which you feel disempowered in your relationship? And I want to ask you a question. Why is that happening for you? What are these things showing up? They're showing up for you. They're there as a gift to help you feel more empowered, to help you feel more confident and more courageous, to help you know yourself even more so that you can go out in the world and really shine your light. So what exactly are those things pointing back and saying, hey, I'm ready to be healed, right? I'm ready to be healed. And are you committed to that process? Is that something that you want? I bet that it is, deep down. I bet that it is. So if you like this video, please go ahead and share it with your friends. I'd love to also hear your questions and your comments below. And you can also find more links below to connect with me. And if you'd like to receive tips and tools and all kinds of things that I only share about in email, please click on the link below to join my email tribe. Thank you so much, you guys. Have a wonderful, beautiful Monday, and I'd love to hear from you. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.